7:30. I will call to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Gail, Eisenberg,
Here.
Stephen Mosier,
Here.
Elliot Robbins,
Here.
Danielle Rubin. Here. Jen Churchwell.
Here.
We do have a quorum for business.
Thank you. And as for the record, Trustee Moser is appearing virtually per our virtual participation policy, and has the same rights as any other trustee as far as voting goes. All right, we are now at the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll now call for public comments. Is there any public comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to the approval of minutes from November 9th, 2021. That was submitted in your board packets. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It's unanimous. Supervisors report. It has been a very busy November to December. After participating in the League of Women Voters State of the Village, I attended the rejuvenated Wilmette Intergovernmental Working Group, sorry, not committee. I'm very excited for what that could really do for our community as far as sharing resources, ideas, vendors, and some of the concern, the first concern I believe that the working group wanted to discuss was environmental issues and how we can all work together to improve to lessen the footprint really for New Township. Well, that specifically. Then we had our turkey giveaway, which as you saw in the board packet was a great success, including donations from Jewel. And the Girl Scouts created these fabulous harvest baskets, which really made people were just ecstatic. And we had some fabulous volunteers for that program, getting ready for our holiday giveaway, which is on Monday. And we are looking for some additional volunteers if anyone is interested in participating. So that would be loading up from Jewel to get to the church and then participating sometime between 10 and 2 for the distribution itself. Some of our regular volunteers are not able to attend due to various family commitments. So it's a lot of fun. We gave a number of pantry tours during the open house, which we had in conjunction with the Winnetka Kenilworth Glencoe Chamber of Commerce during their Red Invitation event. We do hope the turnout wasn't as fulsome as we expected. It was raining horribly. But those who did come in seemed to really enjoy seeing the pantry. And some were also putting in raffle entries. We are raffling off a sold out Lego Home Alone house, which was donated by a generous constituent. And will be raffled on the 20th as well. So get your tickets right away. In your packet, you should have a flyer for that as well, which is attached to Julie's report. Yes, there it is. For visual learners. And she did a great job of getting that information out around the community, really taking advantage of the sale. I also participated in the Illinois Aging Together Regional Roundtable discussion. So really a lot of statistics regarding how our region is aging and what infrastructure is needed across the state. So what can local governments do in conjunction with state governments in order to become more age friendly? And I got some great resources from various municipalities that we'll hopefully be able to utilize as we start our strategic planning process. We And I also participated in the AHAND legislative breakfast, which is a organization for suburban Cook County fighting homelessness and discussing the lack of affordable housing in our community and how we can improve that as well. Again, really making good connections amongst various agencies, including Connections for the Homeless, which did a fabulous presentation. Upcoming, and I represented the township at the Wilmette Stakeholder Roundtable as a part of the Ready, Set, Wilmette strategic planning that they're doing, comprehensive planning they're doing. So the information about that comprehensive plan is out. For those of you who are in Wilmette, please go ahead and fill out their survey to make sure that they have as much information about what the community needs and wants in the next decade to come. But it was a great roundtable. It was myself, the library, the park district, and the historical society meeting with their consultants. Upcoming events, like I said, the holiday dinner giveaways coming up, and the Lego giveaway. On a more somber note, John Thomas's memorial service will be held on Sunday, January 9th at William H. Scott Funeral Home in Wilmette at 2 p.m. There are a number of deadlines, social service deadlines that we should all be aware of as representatives in this community. The Illinois Rental Assistance Program applications are available through January 9th. That was reopened. The Affordable Care Act health insurance deadline is tomorrow if you wanted to start on the 1st, on January 1st, but January 15th generally for open enrollment. And our community support grants for residents supporting family members with developmental or physical disabilities are due January 21st, 2021, and mental health disabilities as well. We also received an email from our former communications consultant, Jack McCall, asking us to address what he considered to be a misstatement in our minutes from August and September 2021. I have reviewed those minutes that were approved by this board already. They did appear to be an accurate reflection of what the meeting said. But he did ask that we correct the totals for the costs incurred to Wisdom Bridge marketing. So gross billing. We had said, we have in the minutes are quoted as between 40,000 to 45,000, with 1 year hourly charges increasing to close to 50,000. That's why in your board packet you have the actual billings to Wisdom Bridge, the former consultants. The totals were in 2019, 52,944, 2020 were 39,000. So we have, those are the correct numbers from our accounting software. We appreciate everything that Jack did for us and certainly putting our communications back on the map, winning a number of awards for those communications, and we wish him the best. Any questions on my supervisor's report? Seeing none. Financial report.
Okay. I'll go through these two documents briefly. Everyone is familiar with them for about past meetings and that. Just a recap, looking at the 2-page document, which is a summary of both the township fund as well as the general assistance. Just to highlight that the total as of the end of October, which is October 31st, which is an 8-month point in context for our fiscal year. The total for the grand total for the township is $2,597,916. Laid out there is the town fund and the general assistance, which is documented in the following page. It notifies that the October 31st year-to-date activity is 1.394794, as noted on the top of the document in the center. And for the general assistance, the period ending is for $1,207,122. That's a total snapshot of both funds as of that year-to-date period, just noting that as we move forward towards the end of the year, which we are moving quite quickly, we will still incur additional charges that are not basically monthly, they're actually cycled. If there's any questions, let me know. Stefan?
And so far.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the 4-page document, which is a detailed summary of these items, and it basically will give you an overview of what dollars were spent as of the end of this period by line item, which is an important thing in the report, because we have to monitor this as we move forward to the end of the year, noting that in February, we're going to have to do a line item transfer in order to calibrate all of the line items. Just a quick note on the first page, as you can see there, it's 66.66% for all of our agency dollars. That is 2 checks that have been issued. I think Gail mentioned that at the last meeting. We have one more check that will be issued the end of February, which will then total exactly what was budgeted for that, the $1,641,000. Moving on to the second page, just to highlight a couple of things that might pop out of my looking at the activity percentage. The summer camp scholarships, I think I've moved this before, we exceeded that. That would be a perfect example of a line item that we would have to process in order to adjust that into our budgeted dollars. Overall, looking down the page, the different areas of the total program services, the project funds, etc., show you where they're sitting. They're all within the expected area for this period of time. Next page will then provide same information, noting that the town fund expenses are sitting at 33%. I would like to note on the administrative side there, and oftentimes I get this question, we're sitting at 83%. That is, there's 2 issues there. They're not issues, but they're items that are contributing to that, which will be corrected as we get to the end of the fiscal year. The first one is the annual GA transfer, which will take those dollars from the general assistance and offset our funds in the town fund. The second item is we have a new hire on board with us as of the end of September, and those dollars are included in that as well. Those will be addressed at a later time. Moving on to the last page.
And does anyone have any questions about that GA transfer? I know that.
Moving on to the last page, just to highlight the general assistance is the expenses, and this is a common thing that our expenses right now are 32.99%, which is usually left. A highlight of the property tax, and I perhaps didn't mention that on the first page. We're sitting at about 82 to 84% for the receipts of the levy dollars, the tax dollars, and that's as of October. So as we move forward, these dollars, we'll get a better sense if we're going to realize the total 100%. Overall, the grand total revenues are sitting at 84%, and the expenses for both funds are sitting at 51%. That's just kind of a brief overview. If there's any questions.
I just have one very quick one. When you said realize the property tax dollars, did you mean receive them or use them?
I mean, receive them, but subsequently we will be using them.
Right.
And they've been allocated as such throughout the.
I'm looking ahead here.
I kind of figured that's where you're going with it. Yeah, but that's, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any questions on the financial report? And all those documents are available under Township Financial on our website. Okay, we're now in line to adjourn to the public hearing on the proposed tax levy ordinance. I would now entertain a motion to adjourn to that public hearing. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We'll, at our last meeting, we determined the levy to be published, which was published as required by law. You now have the formal ordinance before you. Is there any discussion of that ordinance, number 2021-01? And obviously, we had a good amount of discussion during our previous two meetings related to that ordinance. Is there any discussion from the public, as this is our public hearing? Anyone online? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the levy ordinance?
So I moved. move. Go ahead, Elliot.
Would you like to second, Stefan? Is there a second?
Second.
Great. I believe this will probably require a vote by roll call.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Schnitzer Eisenberg,
Yes.
trustee Robbins,
Yes.
trustee Rubin. Yes. Trustee Moser.
Yes.
I'll now entertain a should I do this one as well? Should I do this one?
You second.
Yes, okay. All right. We are simply signing our compliance with Illinois. I'll now entertain a motion to reconvene the board meeting, the Board of Trustees meeting. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are reconvened to the Board of Trustees meeting. Now, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn to the corporate meetings of the nonprofits that this township has incorporated. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Oh, we changed it up. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, we are now entered our corporate meetings. We'll start with the Angel Fund Corporation. My documents. Okay. Our secretary from last year for the Angel Fund is me, so I get to approve. Are there any changes to the minutes from the December 8th, 2020 Angel Fund meeting? Seeing none, I would move that we approve the meeting minutes from December 8th, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? That's unanimous. We now need to elect the officers and directors of the Angel Fund Corporation pursuant to the Illinois Not-for-Corporation Corporation Act. Oh, sorry, Illinois General Not-for-Profit Corporation Act. I would nominate, sorry. This one right. We do this one once a year. I would nominate Stefan to be the secretary and myself to be the president for the Angel Fund Corporation.
I second those nominations.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And those Those are appointed as officers and directors of the Angel Fund Corporation. We will send this one around as all trustees are members of the board. We're now turning to the Courier Corporation, which is obviously our newsletter. Gets us nonprofit rates on postage, bulk rates for postage. Our secretary from last year was Elliot.
I guess I would start out by saying we have minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes from December 8th are approved.
With regard to nominations for 2022, Gail, you'll be nominated as president. Who do you recommend that we nominate for secretary? I just served in that capacity.
Danielle Zinn Rubin would be my nominee for secretary of the Courier nonprofit organization.
Do we have a motion to approve Danielle as secretary and Gail as president of the Courier Corporation?
So moved.
Second?
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That slate is appointed. And we will send these around as well. I'll now entertain a motion to reconvene the Board of Trustees meeting. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we have reconvened to the board meeting. Madam Clerk, clerk's report.
So I was remiss in not mentioning this last month, but I wanted to recognize our staff member, Larisha Pearson, because, and I wanted it on the record, because she's a phenomenal employee of ours. And we got a letter from the United States Department of State on November 12th, congratulating us that we were part of a small group of passport application acceptance facilities to receive a perfect score. So, and that really is the hard work of Larisha and keeping that up. So I'm
She
super
knows,
proud
she
of-
knows this. I
She
trust?
did. She does.
Well, I didn't know when the letter
Yeah,
arrived.
so
That's all.
I'm super proud of it, but I just wanted to put it on the record.
Yes.
That's a phenomenal achievement on her part.
Absolutely.
And then, Jan, also, I know you're going to provide your report, but we do need to swear you in today as well.
No, we're not.
We're,
swearing
we're
in
not-
today.
we're switching it to next week.
Oh, we're switching it to next week. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay,
But
sorry.
we do need to swear her in before January 1st.
Yeah, so we can do that next
It's never
week,
been
okay?
done before. It's never been a problem. It's not just here, but I mean, countywide, it's always done afterwards, but it doesn't matter to me in this life next week, because we'll be.
Next
right
week will
on.
work just fine.
Yeah.
So that's my report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Assessor.
Yes, in terms of assessments, there is still absolutely no movement. There are 38 jurisdictions in Cook County, 29 suburban townships, excuse me, 8 city entities that are designated as townships for assessment purposes, and the city of Evanston. So 38 total, of which 4 have been certified by the middle of December. And normally the county assessor has wrapped up his work by the end of the calendar year, or certainly January. So we're sort of expecting that once the floodgates open, there's going to be a whole slew of townships open, certified all at once. But we really have no idea, because there is not one word from the assessor or anyone in his office about anything. And this is causing some raised eyebrows, to put it mildly, in many quarters. The treasurer's office doesn't know anything about it. None of the county offices have anything more to say. It's completely unprecedented situation. However, I do have two small pieces of news to report. One is that the first 2021 tax bills are out. They're posted online. So, and of course, this applies to you too, Diane, even if you're not living in New Trier Township, they're all up. Due date is March 1st, and the first tax bill every year, and this is mostly for the viewing public, is 55% of the previous year's total bill. It does not contain any adjustments or information about the assessed values, nothing like that. It is working capital, and that's it. So they are available for payment online, by check, Chase, however anybody chooses to pay. And the second small piece of news, which is much smaller than that actually, is that I will be starting to serve as secretary for the County Assessors Association come the first of the year, which I'm very proud of, and which will also give me some insight into what the organization is doing all the time, which I will be happy to pass on when I can. So there you are, my report.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you, Madam Assessor. We're now in the fiscal year 2023 agency allocations, simply because, to me, logically, the acknowledgement of the staff reports should come first. As attached to those are Brian's report on the allocations. I will go ahead and ask for a motion to amend the agenda, which I readily admit I created, to put the acknowledgement of staff reports ahead of fiscal 2023.
You just wanted to give yourself something to do.
You know, we didn't have enough parliamentary procedure during this meeting.
Exactly.
Is there such a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. So we're now talking about the acknowledgement of the staff reports. Is there any of the staff reports that anyone would like to discuss? We received reports from Community Services Administrator Brian Leverins, from Social Services Administrator Jean Rosser, and from our Communication Support Services Associate Julie Koinsberger. Koenigsberger. My apologies. They all have thorough reports. Does anybody have anything that they want to discuss?
I think I just want to say that I was very impressed with the article that was, the article about the turkey giveaway. I thought it was a really nice write-up about everything our township has been doing. And so thank you, Julie, for all your hard work and for promoting us. I think it's great.
Absolutely. And we took a lot of great photos as well. So those are available as well. And we're always careful during those kinds of programs to ensure that we're not showing any of our clients. So that's why you'll see that the photo on the Tribune is Gina and Brian. And I also, from Julie's report, I did forget to mention the New Trier paper shredding event. Though we did not meet our very extreme goal, we did shred 7,500 pounds of paper as a part of our Green New Trier initiative. So that was exciting, and we had a great location, Regina Dominican, and we will be using them again for the May 7th shred event. Right, spring shred. Yep. Mara?
May
May 8th. I'm looking at yours.
It said the 7th.
7th and the 7th.
Yeah, that was on the agreement.
May
Great.
7th. Thank you.
Mhm. So start collecting your documents. We'll make it a whole spring cleaning tax season endeavor. And special thanks to Clerk Capretta and to Trustee Moser for volunteering, as well as the Volunteer Center, which really did a fabulous job sourcing volunteers, including from Regina and from the New Trier baseball team. Who are, been training for this their whole lives. Okay, so now turning to those agency allocations. We have received attached to Brian's Community Services Administrator report is the requests that have been made. We are not asked to make a determination on each agency's allocation during this meeting, but simply the aggregate increase or not regarding overall agency allocations for fiscal year 2023. So if you look at the very bottom, it suggests there was a 3.47% increase in requested funds. In some years, the board has made a determination committee by committee, and in the, I believe it was last year, we decided to simply say, make your recommendations and we will consider them as a whole. Since the agencies don't get to choose which committee they are assigned to. For the most part, they make sense, but certainly we don't want to have any agency at a disadvantage by their committee. So
And they'll vote on that then.
So we, on whether or not we should increase the total allocation.
Yeah, or if they accept it or.
Mhm.
So I think I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay,
I move that we allocate the full amount of the funding as if we were going to award the full amount of the funding, but we may not be asked to do so. I trust our committees to decide judiciously on the use of the taxpayer funds. In total, they're asking for 3.47%. Some have no, are not asking for any escalation, others are. But I trust our committees to do a thorough job. And I also want to talk about the fact that we are in a second year of an unprecedented health crisis of unprecedented duration. And there is need out there, and it's in all of our agencies. It's reflected in each one of our committees. So I think that we have the funds available, and I would move that we allocate up to the full amount, 1.706200. That's $1,706,200, with the understanding that the committees, the chairs will defend their requests, and that those requests will not exceed that amount and may well come in less than that.
Mhm. Is there a second?
Second.
And that motion is for the full requested allocation to be approved, should, the committees want to look at them. So yes, there's a motion on the floor. Any more discussion on the allocation for the full request of $1,649,000?
Is it 1.706? Yeah, it's the final category, final column, isn't it?
Yes, sorry, these don't match. Yes, sorry, my mistake. You're right. The full request, $1,706,200. I was looking at last year's figure. Thank you for catching that. Any additional discussion? I do think it's worth pointing out that we did see a few of our agencies not apply, which is why we don't have a large increase. Most of our agencies weren't asking for an increase over the past year. And our policy is to not give anybody more than they ask for. And we saw additional service levels for most agencies, and we will consider those who did not as need be. So given that, I'll close discussion and call the question. All those, money, so might as well. Please call the roll.
Supervisor Schnitzer Eisenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Robbins.
Yes.
Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Mosier.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Great. We will now turn to new business. The first order on our new business is the discussion and appointment of a new trustee. In your board packets, you should have all of the personal statements and resumes for our 4 initial applicants. We were extremely lucky to have 4 fabulous applicants. One, Joel Kurzman did withdraw his application after the application. And so we're left with 3 outstanding applications. After considering their personal statements, resumes, the makeup of the current board, I have decided to nominate Kate MacNally for the opening, for the remainder of Trustee John Thomas's term. Is there any discussion?
I do want to talk about it a little bit. I miss John Thomas. He would have been sitting right here, right next to me. And his wisdom, his knowledge, it's just irreplaceable. John was a great man, and he really brought a lot to the table. When I looked at these 4 applications, I was just overwhelmed at how qualified everybody is. I mean, this is an abundance of riches.
Absolutely.
And I'm starting to get to know Joel a little better, and Nancy has exceptional qualifications. But it was not difficult for me to bump out Joel and Nancy at the beginning, not because they're not superior candidates. They both will be outstanding trustees. It's just that they're both from Wilmette. And right now we have, a very Wilmette-centric board here. Our supervisor, myself, Stefan, and Danielle are all from Wilmette. John was our only non-Wilmette resident. He was from Winnetka. And it's so important that the folks in the township have some diversity of representation. It would be wonderful if we had somebody from Glencoe up here. We don't, but John was a Winnetka resident, and I think he needs to be replaced by a Winnetka candidate. And that left 2 exceptional candidates. That left Jessica and that left Kate. And this is probably one of the most difficult decisions that I've had to make in my 5 years as a trustee as to who I'm leaning for here. And I just want to say, I know Jessica. I've worked with her on Money Follows the Person. She is an exceptional candidate, an outstanding candidate. She knew John Thomas, and John Thomas knew her, and he spoke very highly of her. He liked her, and he adored her, and he shared that with me on more than one occasion. And when I look at Jessica's qualifications, I mean, she is off the charts. I want to just highlight a couple of things on the record here, because I think it needs to be highlighted, because this is a difficult decision. Jessica has served on the township in the Money Follows the Person Advisory Committee for the last 4 years. She's recently demonstrated interest in peer jury, and she's beginning to serve as a youth advocate. She is a recipient of one of our highest honors, the George Noyes Community Spirit Award, having won that in 2013. She's been the village president of Winnetka for a full term. She's served as a community volunteer in Willow Woods Preschool, Winnetka Caucus Council, she co-chaired, Nutria High School Caucus Council, PTO Hubbard Woods Safety Chair and Treasurer, Winnetka Plan Commission, Winnetka Home Rule Committee member, League of Women Voters of Winnetka Northfield Kenilworth, Winnetka Youth Organization, Winnetka Club, Women's Club of Evanston, and I could go on and on and on. And she's served on soup kitchens and she's chaperoned mission trips. This is just an absolutely outstanding candidate who's demonstrated real commitment to the township. And she's served here in a couple capacities already, and she's won one of our highest awards. And the same holds true for Kate. I mean, Kate's credentials are exceptional as well. Village of Winnetka, Zoning Board of Appeals, Greeley School PTO. She's been a liaison to the Alliance for Early Childhood at Greeley School, liaison to the Family Action Network. She served on the Willowwood Preschool on the board of directors. She's been president of that. Digital communications manager before that, and registrar before that. Winnetka Northfield Public Library District, where she presently serves, I believe. She's been on the committee to review human resource practices and procedures. A member of the Management Advisory Special Committee, all for the library district. She's served on the Winnetka Caucus. She's been on the council. She's been chair of the library committee. She's been involved in Step Up, serving on the Chicago Board of Directors, and a member of the Connections and Events Committee. And it goes on and on and on. And when I'm looking at two exceptional candidates for both from Winnetka to fill John's very big shoes, and I'm looking at Catherine and I'm looking at Jessica, it's almost impossible to pick one over the other. The one thing I will say about Kate, and it's the one thing that I think pushed me over the wire, is that Kate has attended the board meeting here, our trustees meeting virtually for the last, I think, year and a half or so, since the pandemic started. She is one of the few people that attends from the public, and she's there smiling and deeply involved, and she definitely has demonstrated an incredible interest in the affairs of the Board of Trustees, in the affairs of the township. And I mean, I just don't know what you can say about somebody who expresses that kind of commitment and that kind of devotion. So I have to say, that's the one additional thing that kind of pushed me over the top and caused me to give the nod to Kate. I mean, it's just such a difficult decision because Jessica is an exceptional candidate, and she has also demonstrated commitment year after year to the township. So I'm torn, and I'm betwixt, and I'm between a difficult decision, but I think I have to give the nod to Kate just because of that commitment that she's expressed by attending all of our meetings remotely for the last year and a half or so, and she's kind of got a head start and a leg up on what's going on here. I don't know how you folks feel about it, but that was like maybe the one thing that pushed me over the edge.
Thank you.
Sorry for my verbosity, but I just think this is such a difficult decision.
Absolutely,
These are incredible candidates.
absolutely.
Elliot,
And just for the public, we can go into executive session for this discussion, but we have determined not to for purposes of transparency.
And I was just going to say, Elliot, I think that was very well said. I agree with everything that you just said. I do think that it's important that we have a representative from Winnetka, even though all of the candidates were so qualified. And for me too, you know, as for Kate, I think what stood out is just her commitment to attending these board meetings for the last year via Zoom, and just having that knowledge and that dedication and that passion, for me, that stood out as well. And again, we were so fortunate to have such qualified, overqualified candidates. You know, we were very lucky. So, but I think we cannot go wrong with Kate. So I agree with you, Elliot.
I would just like to say that other than the fact that we're loaded with lawyers, I think that these are a great group of individuals that we had to choose from. I concur with what has been said. I also support the nomination of Kate in large part for the reasons already articulated. She also gave us a couple ideas last year regarding the shredding event and such things as that. So I think that she has a personal involvement with the township. She'd make a great trustee, as would any of the candidates who were put forth. So I think that we're very lucky, as everyone's already said, to have such a pool to choose from. And I just think any of them would be totally satisfactory. But at this point, I would throw my support behind Kate as well.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none. I will now call the question. All those in favor of approving the appointment of Katherine Casale MacNally, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? It is unanimous.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We do have some paperwork. Speaking of lawyers, do you do that now or do you do that after?
We can do it after.
Okay, great. So we'll do that after the meeting. And we're all different lawyers. Come on, guys. Different kinds. Like the law that Kate talks about on hers, I have no idea what she's talking about. So I appreciate that. And again, just amazing applicants, and made this decision extremely difficult. And we thank everyone who put their name forward. Our next order is the schedule for the 2022 regular board meetings. It should be in your packet. I need to like tab my packet. While I do that,
There you go.
oh, thank you. Are there any edits to the proposed regular board meeting schedule? Because obviously the August 12th date is statutorily required, so we cannot change that. That's our annual meeting.
In April.
That is exactly what I meant. April,
Exactly.
let the record reflect, I did not put that.
She didn't say it.
Mhm.
No.
April 12th.
Do we have any inkling yet whether that's going to be a face-to-face or what the state may be up to? I'm just curious.
The annual town meeting,
Yeah,
it will be in person.
it will. Okay.
Very exciting. Seeing no discussion, I will now ask for a motion to adopt the proposed 2022 New Trier Township Board of Trustees meeting schedule. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second,
All those in favor, please say aye.
I
Any
I,
opposed? No opposition, that is unanimous as well. We'll post that. We're now at trustee liaison reports. I will turn to agency oversight and trustee ribbon.
Gail, before you move on, could, under new business, can we
Okay,
perhaps discuss John Thomas?
yes. So there, at our last meeting, we did discuss trying to find a way to honor the civic engagement and giving of John Thomas. And we wanted to offer an opportunity for discussion as to what that could look like. Trustee Moser, I know you had some ideas, if you wouldn't mind.
Gail, if that's directed at me, I didn't hear you.
Did you want to start us off?
Well, as I explained earlier to you, throughout the years, whenever there's been somebody who's been very involved in the township who's deceased, we've honored them in many different ways. The three that come to mind most obviously is some type of a monetary donation in honor of the individual. We've also created awards in the township, which we name after specific individuals who had put forth effort on behalf of the township. And then the third category is we've also named certain rooms within the township building after individuals. As I had indicated, I feel that John was a pillar in our community and was really what is all about volunteerism. And I think that throughout his career and post-professional career, he was completely involved in his community in many different organizations, always volunteering, always being available, including for the benefit of the township. So I would like to either consider perhaps naming an award in his honor, which speaks to his volunteerism, and or perhaps a monetary donation in memoriam to whatever organization we deem to be appropriate.
Thank you. Just looking at, we had chatted earlier about what awards don't have a name. So I'm looking at the Township Service Award. It has not had a name associated in the past. There's also the Friend of the Township Award. The likely Township Service sounds appropriate. And that is, given usually to those who have shown dedication to the township, usually volunteerism or public service. So last year, that went to Jerome Hoynes and Sandy Forrester.
What's so nice about naming an award after somebody like John, who is so deserving of such an honor, is that it's something that's going to be given every year, long after we've served here. His legacy will always be remembered by virtue of that award, and a fitting award with his name on it is, I think, a very high and And it's definitely an indicated kind of an honor. And I'm also assuming that Winnetka is probably considering a way to honor John Thomas. I mean, he's deserving of multiple honors. I don't know if we can collaborate with another municipality, but I like the idea of naming one of our high awards after somebody like John. I think it's a tribute to John, and it's also a tribute to the future winners of that award. It's a high honor to be given a plaque that commemorates John Thomas's service to the township.
And happy to reach out to Winnetka to see if they have anything planned. Oh, yes, I also did legal notices.
The park district, park district certainly mine. I would
In the
think.
park district.
Yeah.
So given that research that I know that I intend to do, and perhaps Trustee Moser, you want to do as well, shall we table this till the next meeting? Well, that would be ahead of the annual meeting, when any potential award would be awarded. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, we will just lay that over for the next meeting. Any additional new business? Seeing none, trustee leaves and reports, trustee Rubin.
Yeah, so I don't have a ton to report. We will be meeting tomorrow as a committee to discuss, and the committee will come up with recommendations for funding, who should continue to be funded and at what level. You know, just to reiterate some of the things that Brian had in his report and that you already mentioned, Gail, was that most of the agencies did see a level of service increase. However, there were some agencies that did not. Some of that was as a result of the pandemic. Some of it had been going on for several years now, and the pandemic just made it worse. So those are some things that will be taken into consideration as the committee makes its recommendations. But I will have much more to report next time. So I think that's it.
Any questions for trustee Rubin? I have one.
Yes.
Did the YWCA end up having an alternative because they missed their hearing?
That would be mental health.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, never mind. I put them in a different committee. Got it. Never mind. Rescinded. Okay. And you want to touch on potential youth or no?
You know, just, you know, I can touch briefly on that. There is some concern with the level of funding for some of the youth organizations because there has been a decrease in participation, even at the virtual level. Obviously, this was a very challenging year trying to get kiddos to come to, well, they couldn't, you know, you couldn't have kids assemble. But I think the fact that it has been a growing trend, this decrease in participation, I think to kind of make up for that, you know, the different youth organizations have become creative in their own ways, and they've tried to maybe shift their focus from this being pure recreation to maybe having more of a shift or focus on mental health, or maybe more of a focus on doing volunteerism, which is, you know, I don't have a comment on that. That's not to say whether that's good or bad, but there is a shift in what these youth organizations are trying to do, because the recreation part alone doesn't seem to be attracting enough kids right now. So I think it's just that balance and that almost identity crisis that some of these organizations are experiencing right now, as they try and figure out which way, you know, they're going to turn and if they can continue to be viable. So that's kind of the big concern, the big question.
Money follows the person, trustee Moser.
We have concluded our hearings. They really went pretty well. As I had mentioned last time, there were some issues with regard to some of how the budgets were prepared. There were some amended documents submitted. I think that the questions that the committees had were clarified in that regard. We have our decision meeting on Thursday evening. It was really pretty straightforward hearings this year. The big point that everybody was making is that they had a transition from live services to digital services in almost every program that we fund, and different programs went about it in different ways, but they all seem to have survived and done well under the circumstances. So I would assume that they will in large part be fully funded this year as they have been in previous years, and we'll know more on Thursday night.
Any questions for Trustee Moser? Seeing none. Trustee Robbins, peer jury and mental health.
Mental health first. Since our last meeting, we did have one final presentation night, and it was the 4 scheduled agencies plus YWCA did come. There was a slight administrative bungle, but they presented, they did a good job. And last night actually was our decision meeting right here in this room. And the mental health committee, I thought, was very attentive to the issues that have been raised over the last year. I want to compliment Trustee Rubin on a very difficult assignment for her first committee assignment. On agency oversight, you definitely have some very difficult issues and, really big issues about whether there will be funding and the extent of the funding. We didn't have anything like that on mental health, so much more straightforward. All the agencies did a good job presenting, and the decision process was pretty seamless, and I'm looking forward to the presentation that Dr. Owenshaw will make in front of the full board. With regard to peer jury, we've had 2 cases essentially since peer jury came back. We were hoping for more, but Brian and I have done everything we can possible to plant the seeds with the different municipalities and their police departments to start, to let them know that we're up and running and that we are anxious and eager to adjudicate more cases. And I suspect after the first of the year, our caseload will pick up. If it doesn't in the first month or 2, then we'll have to put our heads together and maybe actually talk to some of the administrative officials in our different villages above and beyond the chiefs of police. But I do expect the seeds that we planted to bear fruit, and I'm looking forward to an increasing caseload into the new year.
Thank you. Any questions for Trustee Robbins?
Elliot, are you still accepting applicants for new peer jurors?
Advocates, I think we've got 3, and we could always use a 4th, but right now the caseload isn't that high. But new peer jurors, they would talk to Brian, and we will be training new peer jurors in 2022. We've got a pretty robust veneer or crop of jurors. I think we're up to around 25 to 30. But again, it's hard to tell how active they are with the diminished caseload. We don't need them all to show up, and we just have returns. And I believe our second offender has completed his or her community service. So we kind of got to see what happens after the first of the year. But Brian is always open to training new jurors, and they need to inquire with him.
Great, thank you.
And just for anyone who is wondering, so that's oversight. We'll have the agency oversight has their decision meeting on tomorrow. Money follows the person on the 16th. Mental health already had it, and then the various committee chairs will present to the board on January 11th, our next board meeting that we just approved. We move now to approval of claims. Trustee Moser.
Okay, I would like to move for the approval of the payroll for November 2021, starting with check number 7920 through check number 7938 for a total of $28,076.93.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Schnitzer Eisenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Robin,
Yes.
trustee Rubin,
Yes.
trustee Mosier,
Yes. I would like to make a motion to approve the town fund expenditures for the period of November 1st, 2021 to November 30th, 2021, beginning with check number 1140, ending with check number 1164, for a total of $25,277.31.
Is there a second?
Quick question.
Wait for a second.
I second.
Discussion?
BMO Harris Bank MA payments,
Number 1160.
1160.
Yeah, that is our credit card that we use for, I think I've mentioned this before, for like our IT people, for our any kind of costs that have come in for the pantry or Walmart, for any kind of supplies for the township.
Thank you, thank you.
And anytime you want to see, I got that all broken out by line item within that bill.
And I probably asked the same question about 6 months ago.
Okay, that's okay.
Any additional discussion or questions? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Schnitzer Eisenberg,
Yes.
trustee Robin,
Yes.
trustee Rubin,
Yes.
trustee Mosier,
Yes.
Pass that around.
Could I raise a point of order? Gail, there have been many documents that have been signed tonight, and I'm not gonna be able to get by the township in the near future, I don't believe. So would it be appropriate for you to put together a packet of the documents that I need to sign, send them to my house? I'll sign them and send them back in.
That procedure sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Okay. We're now in line for a motion to adjourn. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now adjourned.
Thank you.
all.